Cambodia Central College was the only active school in the area during the war season. There were only 15 students in the school. Also, there were only 5 teachers and one of them was the principal of the school. The principal decided to add all students' detail in a student's attendance marking system so he would be able to mark the attendance after the main morning assembly at once. Think you are a reputed database engineer and the principal requested to make a database while another developer is developing the system. The details have been given below. So they have given me the details, 15 records and student table, grade table, village table and transport table. So create a database named Capitagolawa School and insert these data to tables graphically. After you created the database, the principal wanted to check your database for bugs. He has given you some scenarios. Read them carefully and write queries to get results. So first I have to create this database and create the tables they have given. So let's start to do this. To create the database, I am using MySQL Workbench software. File, new module, and you can add diagram. Now I am going to edit the database name Capitagolawa School. And now I am going to create the tables. First I am going to create the student table. For that, like this I add the table and now I am going to edit the name as student. Now I am going to add the first column, student ID. I use data type as integer and this is the primary key of the table. For this key is unique, so because of that I am using the student ID as the primary key of the table. I set this as auto increment and the next column is first name of the student. For that I set the data type as Vacha and the character length as 45. Next one is last name of the student. For this one also I set the data type as Vacha and the character length as 45. Then the last one is date of birth of the student. For this column I set the data type as date because date of birth means date and there is no character length. So this is the student table. I have created the student table like this and the next one is grade table. Now I am going to name the table as grade and first column is grade ID. This is the primary key of the table and it is auto increment. I set the data type as integer here. And the second column, grade name. For that I set the data type as Vacha, character length as 5 because in Sri Lankan school system there are only grades from 1 to 13. So because of that I set character length as 5 here. So now I have created grade table and the next one is village table. So I'm going to name this table as village ID, integer. Primary key of this village table is village ID, and this one is auto increment. The next one is village name. For the village name, I set the data type as Vacha and the character length as 45. I have created the village table. The last table is transport table. I'm going to name this table as transport, and the first column is transport ID. For this, I set the data type as integer, and this is the primary key of this table. I set auto increment for this, and the transport method is the second column. So the user can select the transport method, mean by bus, by car, by van, or by foot, like that. User can enter that method. Now I'm going to make relations among these four tables. So first, when we compare student and grade table, we have to use this student and grade table. I'm going to make the relationship as one to many, because one student can have one grade, but a grade have many students. As example, in grade 1 there are many students, and in grade 13, grade 12, grade 10 there are many students, but all the students in the grade is have one grade. One student can't have many grades, so that's why I here set the relationship as one to many. And the next one is student and village. So for this one also I set the relationship as one to many relationship, because when one student can have one village, but one village can have many students. As an example, when in Kandy there are many students going to one school, and all the students are belong to Kandy likewise, and that's why I set the relationship here one to many. And the next one is student and transport. So for that also I set the relationship as one to many, because one student can have one transport method, but one transport method can have many students, because as example, in school van, when we take a school van, there are many students in the school van. So all the students in the school vans, transport method is school van. So that's why I set here one to many relationship. And now I'm going to forward engineer this database. Forward engineer. Forward engineer finished successfully. Now I can enter the data. For entering the data, I am using ID software. So now I'm going to refresh this, and you can see the Capticola school database. And now I'm going to insert the values for grade, student, transport and village tables. So first I'm going to enter the values for grade table. And now I have inserted the data to the grade table, and now I'm going to insert the data to transport table. So you can remember I set auto increment for the IDs of the all 4 tables I have created in the MySQL workbench. So now I think you can understand what the auto increment. So you have seen that I haven't entered values for transport ID, but they have auto filled. And now I'm going to enter the data for village table. So these are the village names. Now I have insert the data to village table, and the final one is student table. Now I'm going to insert values for the student table. Successfully completed previous questions, and now I'm going to write queries. So the first one is select all students who study in grade 6. And now I'm going to write the query for the first one. Select all from student table. I'm going to join this student table and grade table because the question is select all students who study in grade 6. So that's why I use student and grade table here. Grade table because the question is select all students who study in grade 6. So that's why I using these 2 tables. Grade on student dot grade name equal 6, and this is the query I have created for the first question, and I'm going to execute this now. can see here I have these queries. So this is the output I got from this query, and student ID 6, 13, 15 are the students who study in grade 6. So you can see it here, student table, and Sita Kanchana, Saliya Uduwela and Haridu Damsara are the students who study in grade 6. So you can see the output here, and I'm going to the next one. Select birthdays of the students who come from Padaviya by bus. Now I'm going to write the query for that question. Select date of birth from student table where village ID equal 1 and transport ID equal 1. So the question is, select birthdays of students who come from Padaviya by bus. So here I'm going to use this two table, village table and now I'm going to execute this. You can see here the date of birth of these students, and this is the output I got from this query. I'm going to move to the next one. Select names of the students who study at grade 9 and come from Mihintale on foot. So for this one, select first name, last name from student where grade ID 12-4. this is the query I'm going to use for the third one. And the ID for means grade 9 and village ID for means Mihintale, and the transport ID to mean on foot, the transport method on foot. I'm going to execute this now. So these are the students who come from food from Mihintale and study in grade 9. So I have successfully done all the questions, and if you want to verify that, we can see it in the table. Vatsala Shani and Amarabantu Rupasinghe.